everyone, welcome back to Where in the Herd is Tiffany. On this video, we are going to be talking about border crossing in West Africa, okay? So I'm gonna take you to 3 different countries and explain what my experience was in crossing. So if you're planning to take this trip, then this video is for you. All right, let's go. This right here is the Togo border, and this right here is the Ghana border. So they're literally here and here. Okay, so I flew into Ghana and I decided, hey, I've been to Ghana so many times, I really want to go to Togo. So the route that I took was basically I decided to do a shared van, okay? And so this shared van, I think it was like 30, 40 cedis, not very expensive at all. So I had a taxi take me to where the buses and stuff load up. The only thing I will say about this, y'all, is that you have to wait until the van fills up. So if you're looking to be like, oh, I'm on a deadline and I need to go very quickly, then the shared option is not for you. And after we waited for like an hour and a half for the van fill up, I kind of regretted it because I'm like, I'm ready to go. It's hot. I just want to go. And funny enough, when I say it was hot, y'all. So I pull up my dress, not even paying attention to anything, but there was these Muslim guys sitting there, and that Muslim guy, he told me off because I pulled my dress up. So I will say be conscientious of what you're doing around certain people because Ghana is very open. But I guess it was just because I had the door open, I pulled my dress up. So like you couldn't see nothing because I had a long dress on, so I put it up to like my knees. But you know, in the Muslim country, they want you to be covered up. Anyway, that's a random story. So we waited for the bus to be filled up. I will say the other thing about share vans, it gets a little crazy because not only in Africa are they dropping people off, they are picking up random packages. They may have to stop and talk to their friend. We may just be stopping for all types of stuff. And so at some point we did stop and everybody in the van was like, hello, hurry up and come on. We have places to go. But that's something typical in Africa to think about when you're doing a share van. So when we got to, I think it took about like 3 or 4 hours to get to Upload. So that's where the border between Ghana and Togo is. I guess let me just talk a little bit about the Ghana border and then we'll go to the next border. So the Ghana border is you go inside the office, you give them your passport, you let them like know, hey, I want to cross over into Togo. I remember one time I did it, the guy was like, oh, they're only supposed to charge you 25,000 CFA. And he was like, I wish I can go with you because they may try to like overcharge you. So I'm not really thinking or, understanding what's going on. But I was like, okay. So the process from leaving Ghana is very simple and very easy. And there should be too much of any issues there. I will say on the opposite of the share van, if it's something that you want to get a private car, I did use a private car before and that was so much better. And I recommend using those if you don't want to deal with a share van. I to add this story about the Ghana crossing. I was actually coming back into Ghana and this lady, she had my yellow fever. Mind you, I told you yellow fever is good for the rest of your life. Mind you, when I got off the plane, I showed them my yellow fever card at the airport and everything was good. When I get to the crossing, this lady tells me that my yellow fever is not good. It's expired. And I was like, no, it's not expired. So I began to argue back and forth with her, y'all, because they will try to get extra money. Even if it's a little bit of money, I'm like, no, why am I giving you money when I know my yellow fever is good? So you can choose the route to go back and forth, or you can choose the route to just to be quiet and pay for it. But I was like, no, I was so over it because I had just paid extra money at the Togo border. So I was like, I'm not paying you no extra money. So she finally was like, all right, and just like let me go. And then the other thing I saw, which was disappointing at the Ghana border too, there was a Muslim lady and she was like fully covered. The only thing you can see is her eyes. And so they have to see your face in order to, I guess, check your visa to make sure, to check your passport to see if you're the person that you say you are. And so she was uncomfortable with taking off of her veil in front of a man officer. And she requested the woman officer. And this male officer was like, nope, I'm in charge and I need to see your face. And I kind of like stepped in and was like, sir, I think she really just wants to show the female officer, like, what is the big deal? Like, it's going to take 10 seconds for her to take her veil off and another 10 seconds for you to let her go up out of this office. So I really felt bad for her. I don't know what happened after that. After I explained my story to him and told him what she was saying, I left. So I'm hoping that eventually they let her go because I just think that's ridiculous. Okay, so now let's talk about going over to the Togo side. So when you go over to the Togo side, there's going to be a sheet that you're going to have to fill out. And the paper is just like asking about your passport information and just relevant information, right? So the cost for one way is 25,000 CFA. But again, it depends on who you get sitting at that counter, because on my first experience, they tried to charge me 30,000 or 35,000 CFA, and they were like, oh, this is the price. And so what am I supposed to do? I have to pay whatever price that they're telling me because I really want to get in. I'm not going to go back to Ghana because that's 3 hours away from the city. So you're going to pay whatever they ask you to pay. So I will say be very careful, because on this particular trip, the guy was like, oh, do you need like a round trip or a double entry? And I was like, no. I was like, just give me the single entry. Well, y'all, I decided literally once I stepped out of that office that I wanted to go to Benin now. And I didn't know what the problem was going to be when I got back, okay? So again, it shouldn't take very long, or it depends on how many people is in that particular office of how long it'll take for them to actually fill out all the paperwork, stamp it in your thing, and you can kind of go on your way. I will say that you do need their money, so you can ask. I always have somebody meet me at the border from Togo, and so they're able to like exchange the money for me. But there are people at the Ghana border that's willing to exchange for you too. You just have to ask, but know that they want their money in CFA. Okay. So literally you go into the small little room, do what you need to do, and go back out. Now, there is something where they're going to ask you for your yellow fever. So you all know your yellow fever should be good for, I think like, it should be good. Once you get that yellow fever, you should be good for the rest of your life. But I'll tell you a story on the way back. Anyway, so as I'm coming back into Togo from Benin, which we'll get into Benin in a second, and the guy was like, where is you have the wrong entry to get back. And I was like, what do you mean? I only went to one country. That should cover me for my entry. He was like, no, that's not how that works. So y'all, don't be like me. If you know that you're going to go to another country outside of Togo, then you need to pay for the one where I think it's like 45 or 40 CFA, where that gets you to go round trip. Because ultimately when I came back, I had to pay that 25 again and another 25 on the way back because I exited Togo. So do not be like me. Ask as many questions as you need. Say, hey, this is my itinerary. This is what I plan to do. And they will give you the amount of what the cost is for that particular visa. And remember, the visa, this is for U.S. citizen visa, is only good for 30 days, I believe. So of course, if you stay longer, then you're going to have to get another visa. Mind you, I only stay for a couple days, so that's not my particular worry. But ask all the questions that you need. And I would say, honestly, because they speak French, I would hire a guide to be there with you when you're crossing into that Togo border. But it's not a difficult thing to do. But I have heard stories though, so I've been lucky to where, everything has been good both the times that I went. So I'm going to say good luck with everything. This is, I guess, the little border that we're walking to. I don't know if this is to get over into Benin. I'm not really sure yet. I know we're walking. to the border. So we are at the Togo Benin border. About to cross. And that was the Benin border back there. That's what you do if you're walking. So this is the Benin side of the border. So now let's talk about the Benin border. So when you get to the Togo border, there's going to be a space where you can drive up to a certain point, but at some point you have to get out and then you're going to walk over because you still have to go into the immigration office. So the cool thing that I did was before I left Togo, I did my e-visa online. I will link it in the video where you can get it. You can get it in under like 30 minutes. So actually, I will say that the easiest visa to get is the Benin visa, okay? And again, that also covers you for 30 days as well. And so I will say African people are hilarious, right? So we got in this taxi, but it took us a little bit of a time because we had to deal with getting the visa situation figured out. And he was so mad at us, like arguing with us, fussing with us because he said that we took a long time to cross the border. He had other people where he needed to go. So I would just say be careful. And this is also like a shared taxi as well. So you just never know what's gonna happen. It's a whole debacle when you're crossing these borders. And I don't know, this is random, but I don't know if you guys are following this young lady who did a road trip from, I think, London to Nigeria. She has such a hard time at these borders. I don't know why they give us a hard time, but it is what it is. And so I just wanted to like share my experience about crossing the borders. And I want to know what your experience is crossing. So the point is, y'all, border crossings are very interesting, can be difficult, can be easy. You honestly never know. I think it just depends on the officer, depends on their attitude at that time. It just depends on various factors. So yeah, let me know your experience. All right, and I will link some of these things in the description so you'll know how to apply for these particular visas. All right, peace.